Hey, Matt Wilson here with my second video of the weekend. Just finished The Stooges and Iggy Pop. Now I'm going to take a 180 to a more classic rock direction and do Deep Purple and Rainbow in the 60s and the 70s. So basically following Ritchie Blackmore's career. I'm going to start off with Deep Purple, of course. This nice little purple, what else? Box set. Hard Road is real good. It gives you all of the Deep Purple material pre, concert for whatever you call it, was it? Oh well, the Royal Albert Hall concert. Anyways, this sounds good. It gives you. Well, I'll show you. I'll show you what it gives you. It gives you the mono and the stereo mix of shades of Deep Purple, which is what we're going to start with. This is a decent album. It's definitely got a vanilla fudge flavor to it. Which is to say that there are too many covers on here. Let's see. And the Address, pretty good. Hush, that's a Joe South song. It was their first big hit. That's a cover, but it's a great one. One More Rainy Day is an original. So was And the Address. Prelude, Happiness, going into I'm So Glad, which of course Cream, that's the Skip James number that Cream had just done. Side 2, Mandrake Root, that's a good one. That's a good early Purple song. And then a Beatles cover, Help. Love Help Me, which is another original. It's okay. And then Hey Joe, which of course Hendrix had just covered. The sound is there. Again, the Vanilla Fudge inspired sound, but not so much the songs. Second album, Book of Taliesin, which also comes in a mono and stereo mix. That's a better album. I'm going to say this is my favorite of the albums that are on this box. Deep Purple were, how to describe them at the time? They were like a hard rockin' psychedelic band with, for the time, progressive tendencies. How's that to describe them? This album is good. Let's see what we got here. Listen, Learn, Read On, that's fine. Ring That Neck is, again, an early Purple classic. Kentucky Woman, another cover. Neil Diamond this time, but it was a hit, so, it was successful for them. Exposition, which kind of goes on, and We Can Work It Out, another Beatles cover, 2 Beatles covers in a row for 2 LPs in a row. Shield, Anthem, I like both of those cuts. Then a long version of River Deep Mountain High. This album came out in 1968, if you know your history. Eric Burdon and the Animals also did a long version of River Deep Mountain High that same year. I got to do an Animals show soon because they're like one of the last of the great British invasion era bands I have not done a show of. And the Hollies too. Anyways, I think this is a stronger album than Shades of Deep Purple. And for the last one is the 1969 album Deep Purple. Does this open up? I know it does. Yeah, that's the, Hieronymus Bosch cover. I just listened to this album last night with a friend of mine, so it's fresh in my mind. It is the most progressive of the 3 albums. Again, no, this is 1969. They're still kind of psych, still hard rockin', still progressive. There's a long cut on here called April, which is, it's successful in that it's progressive and it's got different sections, but it didn't really pull me in. What else is on here? Chasing Shadows I liked, a lot of percussion on that. Blind is good. I like their version of Donovan's Little Lane. I think I actually heard that before I heard Donovan's version when I was a kid. Fault Line and The Painter. Fault Line's a little short piece going into The Painter. It's a good record, but it's not, none of these albums are great to me. They just, this is Deep Purple Mach 1 when they had Rod on vocals and who was the other guy? Nick on bass. I can't remember his name. Anyway, so good stuff, but not essential. In '69, the same year as that Deep Purple album I just showed you, was this, and I still can't get the title right. Concert for Group and Orchestra, Concerto for Group and Orchestra, Concerto for, yeah, that's it. This whole thing is a John Lord, I don't know, vanity project, where the band, but primarily Lord, got the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra to do a concert with Deep Purple, where half the music on this album is from the orchestra playing music not written by the other guys in Deep Purple, but I think John Lord. Then you get Purple ripping it up a bit, but you got to wait for that by waiting through all the orchestral pieces. It's live, therefore the sound quality isn't as good as the earlier. That last album I just showed you, Deep Purple in '69, that was recorded well. This one not so much, but it's still progressive. Not progressive in the sense of prog, which was really getting on its feet in 1969, but progressive in the idea of stretching rock music into other avenues besides, Tutti Frutti or I Want to Hold Your Hand. It's not bad, but it's probably my least favorite Deep Purple album of the 60s, okay? All right. In 1970, of course, we have the mighty in rock. This is the Steve Hoffman version. There's not a mediocre song on here. This is early metal, folks. I mean, they say, oh, Black Sabbath invented heavy metal in 1970. Okay, then that first album came out before this. And they also say that to be true metal, you can't have a lot of blues roots, and Deep Purple do. But I still say this rocks so hard. It's metal. This is a I don't know what this is, 25th anniversary version I got once. It's got a bunch of bonus tracks, but I mean, everything is good on here. Speed King is just diabolical. Bloodsucker's great. Child in Time is the closest thing to a ballad that they did on here. It's very similar though, if you know the It's a Beautiful Day song, Bombay Calling, the beginning of that song and the beginning of Child in Time are very similar, but then the similarities end. Fly to the Rat, love it. Into the Fire is good. Live and Wreck is good. And Hard Living. I mean, I think they were very much inspired by Led Zeppelin's 2 albums when they came out. Blackmore's like, yeah, this is the direction we got to go in. And they already had one foot in that camp anyway, but they just kind of dropped the progressive tendencies and just went a full-on hard rockin' direction. So can't big up in rock enough. Fireball, again, this is the Steve Hoffman disc. Fireball's another one. Here's the 25th anniversary edition where you get a bunch of bonus tracks. This is considered like the weak link of their classic albums, but I love it. I mean, I don't think there's anything weak on here. I grew up with this record. Fireball is as good as an early 70s Purple song as there is. No, 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 I love. Demon's Eye is great. Anyone's Daughter. For some reason, Purple fans don't like that song. It's just a change of pace, kind of like a little country-esque number. The Mule is Ian's showpiece that every drummer had, John Bonham did Moby Dick, and Ginger Baker had Toad, and anyways. Fools, No One Came. You get Strange Kind of Woman, which was their big hit in England, which wasn't on the album. Just like Black Knight was in the previous year, and that's a bonus track on the In Rock album. Essential Purple songs that should have been on their albums, but followed the UK tradition of not putting 45s on the LPs. Maybe not as good as In Rock, but come on. Okay, 72. I don't know why I couldn't find my multiple copies of Machine Head today, because that's their magnum opus. But I didn't know where this old DVD was. This is a surround sound disc. There's a better one though. The one I have is from Rhino, as you can see, but there's one from the UK which is supposed to sound better. So if you're in a surround sound, I don't get this one. Get that one. Every cut's a classic. This is This is the ultimate hard rock album, I think, or if you want to call it metal even, from 1972. I like this even more than Sabbath's Volume 4. Don't worry, I'm gonna do a Black Sabbath show soon. I'm gonna do a lot of hard rock acts. You know, I'm just taking my time. I'm trying to do punk and metal and classic rock and, you know, stuff from the 80s, and it's just, and I'm only doing 2 shows a week, so it's just taking me a while. But every cut on here, exquisite. Highway Star could be the best thing Blackmore ever did. Maybe I'm a Leo, love that one. Pictures of Home, I think that was a single. Never Before, or was that the single? I can't remember. Smoke on the Water, epic. That riff though, that dun 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 dun, Blackmore did not come up with that. I wish I could tell you the song because I've got it. I downloaded it. It's from the '60s. It's like a jazz number, but yeah, that's Ritchie didn't come up with that. And I've heard him interviewed talking about that riff, and he did not admit that. He did not own up to that. Lazy is that's a great number, but they got that from Cream, and Cream didn't write that either. And I should have researched this, but it's similar to a Cream song, which wasn't, again, it's not original. And Space Truckin', again, one of the great Deep Purple classics of all time. So 5-star. That same year, Made in Japan. Now this is the Steve Hoffman disc. This is just the original album. There's deluxe versions of this which adds on songs, and they're good. Black Knight, stuff like that. But what's here is perfect. You get, well, it's on the Machine Head tour, so you get a lot of Machine Head stuff on here. Some might say perhaps too much, but everything here, it's virtually definitive. This, somebody was asking me what the greatest 1970s live hard rock album is. It could be this. It really could be. This is certainly better than The Song Remains the Same, or well, see, I don't know. There's competition. There's that Thin Lizzy live album. There's AC/DC's If You Want Blood. I like this more than the Judas Priest album in the late 70s. UFOs, Strangers in the Night. Anyways, what the hell? I'm going with this as my favorite hard rock album. Hard rock album of the 70s. The fact that this and Machine Head both came out in 72, Deep Purple were the greatest hard rock band making records that year. Because remember, no Zeppelin album that year, right? Okay. This is the Steve Hoffman. Who do we think we are? The worst album that Mach 2 Purple made in the 70s. So this is leaving out the live album from '69. It's fine. There's good songs on here. It's got Woman from Tokyo, which is a classic. Super Trooper, Rat Bat Blue. It's just, they're kind of running on fumes by this time. Ritchie's not really getting along with Ian. I don't know whether Ritchie was thinking about leaving in '73 or not, but this is kind of a coasting album. Maybe they should have just released Woman from Tokyo as a 45 that year and just not done an album. But I definitely don't play this a lot. Much better in my estimation is Burn. Now by this point, Ian's out. You get David Coverdale in there. Again, this is another classic. I love every song on here. Might be more consistent than Fireball. It's one of the major Deep Purple albums along, to my ears, along, with In Rock and Machine Head. Burn, you don't get better than that. Again, that's metal. I don't care what people say. Might Just Take Your Life is great. Lay Down, Stay Down. Sail Away. I like all these numbers. What's going on here? I almost forget this is where Mistreated comes from. That became a major showcase for for Ritchie live, both with Purple and Rainbow. But it sounds great here, as does everything, really. Perhaps they should not have done 2 albums in '74. Here's Stormbringer. This is the you get the original album and then you get the quad mix too. Quad mix, not that great. Stormbringer it's half good. The title track is, again, classic Purple. It's better than some of the songs on Burn. The rest of the album is just okay though. Yeah, Lady Double Dealer, Gypsy, Soldier of Fortune. None of these are bad songs. It's just that, you know, Purple made better records. And since Ritchie was definitely probably thinking about leaving by this time, I don't know why they felt the need to do 2 records in '74, you know? But it ain't bad, folks. It ain't bad. Now, I'm really following Ritchie Blackmore in this video, but of course, I gotta mention, since Purple only made 1 more album in the '70s, is Come Taste the Band when they get Tommy Bolin on board. I know there's a cult around him and this album. He was a junkie, and he had issues, but I don't think that really came to play so much when they were making this record, more like when they were touring with the album afterwards. It's solid. A lot of people will tell you this is a better record than Stormbringer. And it might be more consistent, but it doesn't have the highs. For instance, there's nothing on here as good as the title track of Stormbringer. It's good though. I mean, this is a double disc, and you know, this is the only studio album that Bolin recorded with the band. He died eventually. There's a live album, Last Night in Japan or something like that, where he's not playing well. But they were better though as a live act with Bolin than that album suggests. But this is where I go when I want to hear that era of Purple. Okay, I'm done with Deep Purple for the '70s. They did another album after the Bolin one. It was like Live in Europe, I think. I don't have that one. It's okay, you know. That's from like the last time that when the last few shows or whatever that Blackmore was playing with the band, but it's no Made in Japan. So to move on to Rainbow now, Ritchie lost no time in forming Rainbow with Ronnie James Dio's band Elf, I think. This is even a CD. This is an SA CD, so you know I can't even play this on a CD player. It doesn't have a CD hybrid, but it's a really good album. I remember it was a big deal at this point when I was a kid when he left Purple, and for Rainbow was a popular band from the get-go. Maybe not, you know, not as popular as Deep Purple had been, but these Dio albums really hold up. Again, with my eyes, I don't know if I'm going to be able to read, but I know that Man on the Silver Mountain's on here. All right. Oh, well, somebody try to read it. Self Portrait, yeah. Black Sheep, Catch the Rainbows, great. Yeah, Temple of the King, I like it. Dio is a hella great singer. Was a hella great singer. They say early Rainbow is metal, so if you're gonna say that, you gotta say that Deep Purple is metal too, because Dio was a metal singer. You know, I mean, this and all that. But what their masterpiece is Rising. This is worthy of a great Deep Purple album. Every cut is just superb. This double disc set gives you both mixes of the album. I don't know. I've never gotten to the bottom of these mixes, which was the one that was originally released, or were they both released at the same time? And they're so similar. I can barely or can't even tell the difference. But come on. Terror Woman, brilliant. Run with the Wolf, great. Starstruck is you used to hear that one on the radio. You Close Your Eyes is pretty good. Stargazer, wow, you know. A Light in the Black. It's just intense. Yeah, this is metal for 1976 for sure. I mean, it rocks as hard as what was happening that year when in Metal Priest or UFO or Scorpions, you know, what Sabbath did Technical Ecstasy that year. Make this your first Rainbow purchase and then decide from here whether you want to go on and get other Rainbow albums. This is, I have all these deluxe editions, these double disc sets of these Rainbow albums. This is their live album on stage. It's pretty good, you know. I'm sure that there are better live tapes of Rainbow concerts from this era than what's on here, but it's not bad. I mean, it'll scratch your itch if you want to hear, you know, Dio era Rainbow live. It's got the long version of Mistreated. You know, speaking of which, there's a live version of Mistreated on that Made in Europe album too, that Deep Purple did, which came out at about the same time, or I can't remember now, within a year of this. But it's good. It's good without being great. You know, kind of like Song Made the Same or something. To me, this is another classic. Long Live Rock and Roll. This is another double disc. Is it double disc? Yeah, set, rough mixes, rehearsals, and some live stuff. Long Live Rock and Roll is it's the album. It's the title track. Lay the Lake is good. L.A. Connection. Gates of Babylon just kicks ass. So does Kill the King. The Sheds. Yeah, I like this. I'm gonna say this is their second best album after Rising, with Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow being third. But they're all three good. All the Dio albums are definitely worth your time. And we're gonna round out this video. I'm at a good time now, 22 minutes, with the last Rainbow album of the 70s. This is Down to Earth, right? Yeah. Embarrassing to get the title wrong. I have gotten the titles wrong on some of these CDs before. I'm holding up to the phone. I know the name of the album, but I'm saying the wrong thing. Can't let that happen again. This is a more commercial Rainbow. Dio's gone, you know. It's got Since You've Been Gone, which was the hit version. That song had been done numerous times, though. These Rainbow were not the first people to do that song. I'm not sure if they were even the second to do that song, but they may have the best version. All Night Long, I mean, I know people I think Martin Popoff thinks this is a classic. This is when Rainbow, I think, started to go off the rails. By 1980, you know, the new wave of British heavy metal bands were coming into play. They were upping the ante on what was heavy. And Blackmore was going in another direction. He wanted to sell records, you know, kind of like the prog bands who had made it through the 70s and never sold a ton of records were going in a more commercial light. But Blackmore was a wealthy man. He had sold a ton of records, and he wanted to keep that money coming in. So there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I mean, by that point, he had given us enough good material to last a lifetime, because this is not a bad album. I just don't play it like I play the earlier Rainbow records. So that's it. Deep Purple, one of my favorite hard rock bands. Rainbow, one of my favorite hard rock bands. They just don't have as many great albums, quantity-wise, as Deep Purple. Blackmore is one of my heroes. I mean, you know, growing up, guys, the guitar was the primary instrument that I listened to when I listened to music. The Yardbirds guitar players, the guys who played with John Mayall's blues band, Hendrix, of course, you know, Blackmore, Michael Schenker, you know, later on in the 70s, Eddie Van Halen, but, you know, before that, you know, Joe Perry, Brad Whitford, and Aerosmith, the guys in Thin Lizzy. I mean, that's what I liked. Nugent, I liked Ted Nugent at the time. Later on, you know, in the early 80s, we'd get Randy Rhoads, and after that, Stevie Ray Vaughan. So that's what I think of when I think of guitar heroes. And Blackmore is way up there. He Yeah, he's in my top 10 guitar players of all time. So anyways, this is an easy video, as was the Stooges. I'm going to be thinking in terms of, what I can find and not bring out tons of big old box sets. So hope you enjoyed it. That's Deep Purple and Rainbow. A look at the career of Ritchie Blackmore, really, from 1968 through 1979. Ciao.